literally, I've always wanted to ask you this question since day one on the Lakers. 3 years later, you've established yourself. Great contract. Played on Team USA.
Hold on, time. Sorry.
Damn.
No, this is a lot of build-up.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
I'm wondering what the question's going to be.
No, it's not.
Welcome to the Old Man and the Three with JJ Redick and Tommy Alter. This is episode 195. Austin Reaves. Tommy, we met Austin in San Antonio when the Lakers were in town last week. I had a nice round at Austin Country Club before driving down to Austin to meet you guys.
Tell the audience about your drive.
Well, it's normally, I made it back to Austin after the interview in an hour and 18 minutes. The drive down was damn near 3 hours. I literally left Austin Country Club. It's next to 360, whatever, in Austin. And I went from the exit of the club to the second stoplight in about 40 minutes, which was about a quarter of a mile. And I was like, there's a reason that I left Austin. And I love Austin. But wow.
Tough.
Wow.
It was tough.
Austin was a fantastic interview, just a great personality. One thing on Austin before we get to our DraftKings Sportsbook segment. As of the recording, I had written some stuff down. I wanted to mention it to him, but I want to mention it now instead. As of this recording, Austin Reaves, off of picks, he's top 15 in the league in points per direct chance off of pick. He's top 5 in points per direct pick when he goes to score, and he's 8th in points on drives to finish. So we get into this a little bit with Austin, just the idea of the white guy being the standstill shooter.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of shit to his game, and he's got a lot of shit to his personality. We really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah. I was joking with the two of you guys before. It's like you guys are going to be best friends. I think that process has already started.
The process
basketball, golf, white guy. There's a lot of boxes that have are currently being checked off in terms of this bromance, and it's kind of in motion at the moment.
Stick around for the last question, the Roback question, which is a golf-related question. We do talk a little bit of golf for all you sickos out there. Hashtag Country Club Collection over on IG. Love your content. Know you watch the pod. Know you're into this Austin Reaves interview. I know. All right, DraftKings Sportsbook segment. We are at essentially the third of the way point in the season. Number of teams have played 27-ish games. And I thought we could go look at the Coach of the Year race. Everybody knows I'm fascinated with coaches. We do our coaching series. We've had a couple of these coaches on. Hopefully we'll get a couple of these coaches on at some point this season. But right now, Chris Finch and Mark Daigneault have the 1 and 2 spot in terms of odds. Plus 250 for Chris Finch, plus 250 for Mark Daigneault. They are the co-favorites. Finch began the season at plus 2,800, and Daigneault, I felt, had some buzz coming into the season. He began the season at plus 650.
I will say we had Chris Finch on the show early September, and I think you were ahead of the curve on this team and on him in particular. My question about this particular race right now, this coach has to come from the West, right?
That's interesting.
When you just look at how stacked the conference is.
Well, it doesn't have to come from the West. I think there's a world, especially with the way Milwaukee's playing offense right now, and the defense is normalized to a degree. There's a world where the Bucks end up with the number 1 seed, and you would have to look at Adrian Griffin. There's a world where the Boston Celtics run away with the best record in the NBA, and you'd have to look at Joe Mazzulla. And there's certainly a world where neither of those two teams create any separation, and the Philadelphia 76ers are right there at the end of the season, and you'd have to look at Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse, by the way, currently 6th in odds, but that to me would be a play, right? Because Nick Nurse, the job he's done and the way Maxi's playing, of course, Joel, Tim and I are going to talk about this next week a little bit. The way he's just elevated his game even more after the last 3 or 4 seasons, it's remarkable.
Yeah, and also just when you think about what he walked into off the court, The only other guy I'd mention who's on here is Mosley
Yes.
in Orlando. Depending on where if they're a top 4 finish, maybe they're in it.
I agree. And if you look right now at sort of division odds in the Southeast Division, Miami's still the betting favorite to win that division. Orlando is second. But certainly there's a world with Jamal Mosley if that team continues to win at the pace that they're winning at. And he's built, I think with coaching too, it's like, have you built an identity with your team?
Yeah.
Beyond just, do you have a bunch of talent? You know what I mean by that? Like, you need talent in the NBA. I think Coach of the Year, so much of Coach of the Year, like a lot of these awards, but Coach of the Year in particular, I think is based off of what are your expectations, and did you exceed those expectations?
Yeah. Is that with that sort of metric, would that be an argument for Finch and what he's built in Minnesota?
For sure.
With that defense?
They have a great defense. They've figured out how to be good enough offensively. He's getting a lot. The thing I love about the Wolves right now, he's getting a lot from the bench. Obviously, Naz Reid has had some big nights offensively, but I love what my guy Nickeil Alexander-Walker's doing, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, just in terms of his pressure, his length, disrupting at the point of attack. And so he's getting a lot out of his players, and I think that's important. OKC, of course, top 10 offense, top 10 defense. Dagnall, we sang his praises last year. I think I may have even had him in the top 3 at the end of the year in my awards vote for NBA Coach of the Year. I think I may have put him 3rd, maybe even 2nd. I would have to go back and rewatch that episode, but I know I had him in my top 3. So I think there was like some momentum going into the season, particularly just with the OKC buzz, and they've been as good as expected, if not better.
What is it today? December 20th, 2023. How surprised are you that Minnesota and OKC are the top 2 teams in the West right
now? I would say I'm not surprised. The one team that I think I haven't been disappointed with, but the one team that I thought would be number 1 at this stage was the Denver Nuggets, particularly with the way they started the season. And Jamal Murray gets hurt. That certainly factors into it. They've had a tough schedule. I know they have one of the easiest schedules basically from here on out.
Yeah.
Not only in terms of opponents, but in terms of back-to-backs. So I think some of that is the Denver thing is a little surprising. The other thing that's surprising is that, their 5-man unit has a plus, 10 or more plus net rating. Their starting 5, which is great. Offensively, they've been awesome. They've been a little disappointing, that unit, defensively. So yeah, Denver's the one team that I would say I thought would be, first or second right now. Right now, they're 5 games out of first in the loss column. That's surprising. Yeah. But give credit to Minnesota. Minnesota's awesome. So yeah, something to monitor throughout the season. As it pertains to the Lakers, by the way, going back to that division thing, right now the Lakers have the 4th best odds to win the Pacific Division. Clippers have the best odds. Then it's the Suns. Then it's the Kings. Then it's the Lakers. The Western Conference, fascinating.
Crazy. Well, I want to ask about.
You can move literally be in the 3rd spot and then all of a sudden be 9 a week later.
I want to ask about 2 teams in the West who I don't think are in the Coach of the Year conversation right now, but I think we should talk about, and that's the Warriors and Memphis. The Warriors had a great comeback win last night, and then Ja. Where these are 2 teams that if the playoffs started today would be in the outside looking in, but we talk about the stacked Western Conference. I don't think anybody wants to play the Warriors.
Yeah.
And the Memphis is the 30th ranked offense right now, but the Ja was unbelievable last night.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with the Grizzlies right now, just to basically be in that sort of probably 8, 9, 10 spot, not even 7, they'd have to go 35-21 from here on out to get to about 42-40. And I think that's a lot in the Western Conference. Yeah. And, you've got to do that with basically no other major injuries or no other setbacks. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because you watched them play last night, particularly in the second half, and you're like, okay, I see it. Ja's awesome. Ja's awesome. I mean, he just took over down the stretch. It was like, I'm getting to the basket and you can't stop me. It's like, I had this old T-shirt when I was a kid. It was like, uh, I think I have a picture of it somewhere, but it's like my decision around the rim, it was like elevate and decide in the air. And like obviously I never did that, but
It's just funny. It's funny to think
certainly
of
does.
you wearing that shirt, but it is crazy. I mean, the end of the game last night, like we
I
knew
wore it as a 10-year-old. I couldn't even touch the net.
I feel like we should bring this shirt back. But it's like at the end of the game, like we knew what he was going to do, and he still did it. First came back. What about the Warriors?
I'm not selling my Warriors stock. I'm not selling my Warriors stock, particularly with Clay now heating up.
Yeah.
How many times at the beginning of a season since this injury have we had these conversations around Clay Thompson? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I have. I've certainly said he's got to shoot better, but we've had these conversations. It's always like a touch point of the early NBA season.
Yeah.
Oh, Clay Thompson is off to a bad shooting start, and then he heats up, and by the end of the season, he's going to shoot 41% from three. He's going to average around 20 points a game. Like, come on, we've seen this movie before. Last 4 games, he's been on fire. So I'm very, excited about that. And on top of that, Kuminga's been good, and Podziemski's been awesome as a role player. He's been awesome. That charge he took on Shaedon Sharpe the other night, to win the game.
Yeah,
come on, that's a winning play. I love it.
And that's them finding we mentioned him, this summer. That's them finding a young guy to develop, put into this core. The one other team who's looked shaky, Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the health thing is just it's been a constant throughout the year. But I don't know. I mean, losing to Portland last night, the vibes just seem off.
Yeah. Listen, we're gonna have a conversation throughout the season about Phoenix. I'm because of the Bradley Beal injuries and just the general sort of, up and lineup changes and all that stuff. I'm gonna calm down. I'm not gonna say anything today, but I will say this is typical, I feel like, over the last 10 years when you try to put these teams together that are so top heavy roster. Yes, Molly, I said it. They've got a top heavy roster. And you're an injury away, you're an off shooting night away from these stretches because your margin of error from 4 through 9 looks much different than every other good team. That's just how it is. And by the way, Booker and Durant, they're so good. Some nights it doesn't matter. Some nights it doesn't matter.
They've been unreal all year and it hasn't made a difference.
Yeah. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code JJ. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/basketball for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. All right. That has been our DraftKings Sportsbook segment. The Coach of the Year thing is going to be fascinating throughout the year. We really just want to also mention like Ime Udoka, who's 5th in odds, building a great defense in Houston and with a young group. And obviously, Fred and Dylan have made a big impact there. They're a team that I'm excited to monitor throughout the season. I love what they're doing. All right, let's get to our conversation with Los Angeles Laker from Newark, Arkansas. Awesome news. I've always wanted to ask you this question. For 3 years, since day one, when I saw you first play for the Lakers, and now, nice contract, Team USA, you've established yourself as an awesome NBA player. Has anyone ever approached you or asked you about putting hair gel in your hair when you play? How do you make that work with no hair gel?
I don't know, to be honest. I've gotten it a lot. Everybody
you go through the comments on my pictures. I don't. My family does, and I believe 1 out of every 3 is cut your hair or put some gel in it or something like that. But I don't know. I kind of just gotten used to it.
You seem like you have a like a simplified version of your life. It's very much golf and basketball. I'm not sure which order that is.
Depends on the day.
It's questionable. It depends on the day. Yeah.
How much? So I joke with people when I was growing up, I would like lay in my bed and I would picture myself making moves, you know, coming off a screen, spin moves, shot fakes, whatever. Then when I retired, all of my I'll go to bed thinking about my golf swing. What's the balance for you right now between you're just sitting around your house? What are you thinking about?
Oh, that's tough. The politically correct answer is basketball, but I'm sure if you go back, I can't remember. It was one game last year. I walk around constantly like I'm trying to cut my wrist a little bit, and in game, I was sitting there at the free throw line. I was on the other end. Someone was shooting free throws, and I was sitting there, kind of just like, and I didn't pay attention. Like I had no idea. And my agent Aaron looked at me after the game and was like, what were you doing out there? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you were sitting here like this. I was like, oh no, like I was working on my golf swing. Like, but yeah, I mean, obviously basketball is, the most important thing right now. Golf is a great getaway for me. It gives me an area to escape, how it is. The league is, tough, all the travel and stuff, and just an opportunity to get away from me.
You have a dream Hillbilly Bogey guest?
I'm a huge Jordan Spieth fan. Like when I started to get into golf, probably my junior year of high school, senior year of high school is when he was making his push. And, just like the creativity around the greens, and, he's kind of one of us. He sprays it left, sprays it right, but, his ability to get out of trouble is a beautiful thing. And ever since then, I've been a huge Jordan Spieth fan. So that would be the one. Obviously Tiger too, but he's got a lot of things going on.
My feelings are hurt.
Well, we know this is gonna happen.
I was this is we're saying before we start. This is the start. This too is the start of the biggest bromance.
He's like JJ, you might be in my top 20. You might be in my top 20. Austin has a great social media profile, Hillbilly Bogey, based on Hillbilly Kobe, I assume. Also has a YouTube channel. I follow you. I watch your content. It's good stuff. Really like it.
I appreciate it.
You're from a small town in Arkansas. Newark. Did I say that right?
Newark.
Okay. 2020 census, 1,180 people was the population. Played in Wichita, mid-sized city. Norman, Oklahoma's college town. Could you have imagined just the difference in your life playing for the Lakers? And were you prepared, not just like the on the court stuff and the attention, but off the court, just like moving to a city like that versus where you came from?
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't think you can, prepare yourself for that. Just being where I'm from and, not really living in a big city ever. And then, draft night, literally the next day, I fly to LA and I'm there, and that's where I've been since. And it was kind of easy for me in a sense of, like you said, I love basketball and golf. I don't really do much else. I'm not into the nightlife. You can find me one of 4 places: the practice facility, the golf course, my house, and Staples or crypto. I keep it very simple, but the one thing that sucks is traffic out there. You got to get used to that. But other than that, I got to appreciate, the way my parents raised me and, showing me that, the main thing is the main thing. Like you can go anywhere and be anywhere and still keep, your eyes on, whatever you want to do. And you don't have to get distracted by all the other stuff. So, I praise them for that. Just, like I said, keeping the main thing.
So a Friday night for you in your hometown, no game. Your hometown in Arkansas is the same thing as a Friday night for you in Los Angeles.
I mean, other than everything else going on, yeah, I'm probably on the game playing Call of Duty or Fortnite, maybe some PGA. But yeah, I mean, that's really been my life, there and in LA. I, constantly played the game with my friends, my brother overseas. But yeah, it's kind of similar, which is crazy to say.
All I want for the holidays this year is some NBA action. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5. An instant dub just for you. I'm particularly intrigued by Friday night's Toronto matchup in Philadelphia. Will Joel Embiid continue his scoring dominance? I'm very curious to see what his odds are set at around his point totals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code JJ. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/basketball for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. The holidays are coming up, which means early mornings, big meals, shopping, returning items, family. I could go on forever. We love the holidays, but they can be exhausting, which is why Smart Water Alkaline is key for anyone looking to elevate their lives and stay hydrated during this holiday season. Smart Water Alkaline is a premium vapor-distilled bottled water with added electrolytes for a pure, crisp taste. It has a higher pH level, added antioxidants, and electrolytes for taste. So if anyone out there is thinking about what to get me for the holidays, I wouldn't mind a bottle or two, or a case, or a truckload. It's totally up to you. One last thing, the bottle looks super slick, especially with a nice big red bow attached to it. So do yourself a favor and head to the store and get yourself and your loved ones a bottle of Smart Water Alkaline as soon as you can. You will absolutely thank me later. Smart Water Alkaline is available at a store near you.
Looking back on draft night now, can you explain just the decision to turn down the Pistons to end up with the Lakers, and also just like how you look at that? Obviously, if it's so much success, which we're going to get into, but how you look at the decision and you handling the decision at the time the way you did, how you look at that now?
Yeah, I got to give literally all the, praise to my agents. They come in from that morning and was like, look, we have a really good opportunity in LA. They're very interested. If you were to go undrafted on a 2A, for you to get a 2A contract. And so like when we got called at 42 at Detroit, that's what they were offering. They were been drafted in a 2A. So we knew that we didn't have to press to, hear my name being called. And I feel like that's a testament to, my age. If you would have told me when I was 18, 19 years old that I could hear my name being called in the NBA draft, I'd have jumped on that in a heartbeat. But being a little bit older, kind of understanding situation and time and, the placement of where I was going to go and who I was going to play with, it all kind of, made sense. And, my agents did a tier list, 1 to 5, I think, tier 1 being the best teams that could get me for situational stuff. And LA was at 2. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And, that night obviously sucked because you want to hear your name called. But ultimately, I think we made the right decision.
So there was no pride there. A little like a part of you, even at that age, you're saying you had a nice maturity about you at that time, but you weren't like bothered, stressed
I mean,
that
yeah, I
you
was.
weren't going to hear your name.
Yeah, I was pissed.
Because that's still like 18 picks that you've got to like sit there.
Nah, for sure. I mean, I was pissed off just because I knew when it come strictly to basketball that there's no way that there's 60 players better than me. I know we could have got drafted 42. You know, I knew when it come down to it that, you know, I believed in myself. And so, yeah, I was sitting there pissed off the whole time that I wasn't picked earlier. But like I said, you know, my agents did a great job of prepping me and basically keeping it, 100 with me, being like, look, you could go up to 32, 30, or you could go undrafted. And we have a situation where you're going to, fit well in jail.
I've been on one lately. I have been. Well, I'm always on one. But I've been on one lately. Going back to last week, I was on First Take. Stephen A. made some comments about Jokic, and I pointed out that we can't always get caught up in the aesthetics. We can't get caught up in hotel lobby all-stars. And I feel like the draft is very much, at times, for some teams, an exercise in hotel lobby all-stars. You're a random fan sitting in a hotel lobby, an NBA team pulls up, they get off the bus, and you're making judgment calls based on someone's physical makeup, the length of their arms, what does their torso look like, legitimately.
That's facts.
And we're not actually prioritizing the love of the game, competitive nature, IQ, and can the guy just fucking play basketball?
Yeah.
And I get really frustrated by it. What gave you the sense of confidence that this plan of attack was going to work out?
I just knew at the end of the day it was going to come down to basketball. You can do all the other stuff. I signed with an agency that didn't have any NBA players. So I took a chance there. I knew that they were going to work and put me in the best position because they want to make it too. But at the end of the day, I knew, like I said, it was going to come down to playing basketball. If I can get on an NBA court around NBA guys, like I know with the IQ of the game, and then, like you said, just the competitive nature that I'll figure out a way to, make myself stick. And the whole thing going into the draft was, for me, is I didn't play defense. And I went maybe 1-2 practices when I was on my two-way, and I was like, defense is going to get me on the court. And so that was all I did. I played defense as hard as I could, dove on the floor for loose balls, took charges, all that stuff. And, we had a team at that time that nobody liked to do that. And Frank was a defensive guy. And that's what really got my foot in the door.
I read your draft profile today, actually. It was interesting. Well, what was it? What was interesting was that you weren't really known as a shooter. And I think, I'm going to be honest here, being honest. Maybe this isn't politically correct, but when you're a white guy, it's like you're a shooter and you can't play defense. That's just the knock
that's
on
a fact.
you. The fact is, you had the ball in your hands a ton at OU your senior year. You played in a ton of pick and rolls. And I'm curious about the adjustment once you get to the NBA and you're playing with Bron, you're playing with AD, you're playing more off the ball, especially that first year. It wasn't really till about, at least, in me watching, what didn't feel like until about halfway through last year, your second season, that you really got to play more out of pick and roll and have the ball in your hands more. So that initial part where you're like trying to figure out how the league works, but also really not being able to play to your strengths.
Yeah, it's tough, but that was one thing I was really confident in is, figuring out how to do all the other stuff. And going back to even when I was in high school, my 9th grade year, I played with my brother. My 10th grade year, I played with my brother. And he was the best player on the team. So it wasn't like I was scoring 25. I was doing all the other stuff. So I was kind of already prepped to do that. I go to Wichita State. I didn't play on the ball. I shot the ball really well there, catch and shoot. I think my freshman year, I shot around 50% from three and then shot like 44 or something like that. So I had shot the ball well before. But then going to OU, the whole change of, scenery, style, took a lot of tough off the bounce, shots. Didn't make them, obviously, shot bad percentages. But, going into the league, I had already kind of done all that, obviously, at a lower level. But anytime, you can, the game and you play with Bron, you're going to be, set up for success. That's what he does. And that's, why he's one of the greatest players ever is he helps people be good. And that was the main thing. When I walked into the doors my first day, I was like, look, I'm gonna make him respect me and trust me. And that was him and AD. I was like, those are the two things I want to do.
All right. So I was going to ask you about the trust thing. And we've talked with, I think we talked with Caruso right after their championship in the bubble about sort of when he felt like he had gained LeBron's trust. When did you feel like you had gained LeBron's trust?
Fully?
Still working on it?
No. Fully was game one of the Memphis series last year. We had great chemistry from day one. And there was trust there. But I remember like it was yesterday, wasn't that long ago. I don't know why I'm saying that, but in the fourth quarter when I had it going, there was a shot. I forgot. I think D'Lo might have got the rebound and he outlet it to Bron. And obviously, I'm gonna run to the corner. Bron's got the ball, and I get to half court and I hear him yelling my name. He was like, "Come get the ball." I was like, "Oh shit." I got to make something good happen. I think that's maybe when I hit the three or the jump shot, one of the two. But everything for me, at least, everything went to slow motion at that time. Like I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I can't make him look stupid. He's giving me the ball. Everybody's probably looking at him sideways for giving me the ball, but it ended up working, thank God. And after that, I kind of sit there after the game. It was just like trying to fathom what actually just happened.
We talk with a lot of other guys about his insane b-ball IQ. Just how he's like, I remember when DeMar came on, he was talking about the Cavs Raptors series and how he was calling out their plays ahead of time. Have you had any specific moments from that standpoint, either in a game or in practice, where you've seen him do something like that and you just have been like, what the fuck is going on?
Not really on the IQ standpoint because I see it every day.
Yeah.
Every game I see him calling out a play that they're about to run, and literally exactly what he says is what happens. But I do remember he shot the craziest. We're playing 5-on-5 my rookie year in training camp. He shot a crazy 1-footed hook shot from the elbow over DeAndre Jordan off glass for game. And that was the only time in my life that I was like, I don't think I belong on this court. I was like, this is insane.
Did you, I don't want to say idolize, but like certainly LeBron was an icon. He was, I think, 5 years old when you were 5 years old when he made his NBA debut. And I don't know who your favorite player is growing up.
I was a huge Kobe fan.
You were a Kobe fan.
Yeah,
so going to the Lakers was.
Yeah, that was my favorite team growing up.
It's crazy that your agents had the Bucks as the number one best fit.
They was just doing their job. But it's out there publicly. Like, I wasn't a huge Bron fan just because I was a Kobe fan. Like,
didn't you tweet about something?
There you go. Yeah,
you had a hater tweet or something.
You brought that up. You shouldn't have said.
No, I mean, I've already addressed the elephant in the room.
The ESPN,
no, it was
the IG tried to snitch on you. You had to talk about it.
We were in New Orleans, and I didn't play. I think he played, but he might not have. And I pull up my phone right after the game, and it's first thing I see SportsCenter, and it's a picture of Kobe like this. And it's like when I need some rest, I put my phone to LeBron mode, no rings. I was like, shit. It's like there's one or two things I can do. I can shut up and hope he don't see it, or I can call him over here and be like, look, man, And I was like, Bron, come here. And he was like, what's up? He walks over there. It's like, I was a Kobe's fan back in the day. I was like, I was shitting on you back in 2012. He just busted out laughing. He was like, I don't care about this.
He's
I was
some
like,
random 14-year-old dude in
Exactly.
Arkansas.
exactly. And then it happens to be my teammate.
That transition though, from Bron being an icon and, you know, whatever you thought of him, apparently was kind of negative growing up, to a friend and teammate and coworker. What is that sort of process like? And what did it happen overnight, or did it take time?
I think it took a little bit of time. But I don't know. I think it's more so just kind of the age gap. Like realistically, like he's got a whole family, like all this. I'm just, trying to figure out life in LA. And but now I can actually genuinely say that we have a friendship. I could pick up the phone, call him whenever, he'll answer. But yeah, it's genuine, and you put Bron on this such pedestal just because who he is and what he's done. And I've said this a million times. He acts like he's an 18-year-old kid. He's joking around, always having fun, never in a bad mood. Always brightening the room, regardless of any situation. And it's crazy to see because if there's anybody that could be kind of a prick or an asshole off what they've done, it could be him, but he's the exact opposite.
One of the things that just so you know, I'm supposed to be unbiased as a media member, but I get a pass because I played for so long, so I'm allowed to be a basketball
For
fan.
sure.
But one of the things I love about you is that you have some shit to you. You did the too small to Pat Bev, the I'm him in that Memphis game that you were talking about, that you referenced earlier. How did you develop that? Because I kind of have a theory on it. Because I had some shit to my game, and some shit to me. I still do have some shit to me. Unfortunately, it never leaves. How did you develop that?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, think it was almost natural. I remember
You're naturally an asshole.
Yeah, I really think so. Because I remember I played 1 year AAU, and I didn't play EYBL. I just played on a handpicked select team, and I walk on the court, and everybody be like, "I got the white boy." I'm like, it's gonna be hell. Like, I don't. In 3 possessions, your coach is gonna ask someone else to come guard you, and it's been like that since I was in high school. And I always, like I said, I'm just real confident in, the work I put in, because obviously, that's where it starts. But yeah, I seen, it's funny you brought that up. I seen the clip last year of when you were having conversation. I don't know. It was about me and Bron. But all I seen was the clip of you saying, he's an asshole. I was like, what the hell did I do this guy? I was like, damn, I can't win around here. But then like 20 minutes later, I was sitting there for like 20 minutes, like, what did I do? And then I actually listened to the full clip, and it was positive. I was like, oh, okay, let me stop.
Yeah. Just so you know, when I refer to someone as an asshole, it's a good thing.
For sure.
It's Jason, it's the highest praise. I've called a few friends and former teammates that word in a positive way again. And I've had a couple of them call me and be like, "Hey man, like I know what you're saying, but like my kids watch the podcast. They don't quite get what you're saying.
That's funny.
Daddy, why is JJ calling you an asshole?"
That's funny.
When you're talking about your out of body experience in the Memphis series, looking back on the Warriors series, playing the defending champs, doing what you did to Steph, to these guys who were, first ballot Hall of Famers. What was your perspective at the time? What's your perspective now? Just because when we were watching it, we were like, that's when I was like, this guy has really arrived.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play well the first 2 games, I think, maybe 3. I was front rim everything. The Memphis series was, for me, the toughest series. The physicality, having to chase Bane around everywhere, constant mover, and then literally moving into chasing Steph and Clay around everywhere. My legs were gone, but had to figure it out. And, that's what I've kind of done my whole life, is figure it out on the go and figure out how to be successful. But I mean, I gotta, tip my hat to, literally all my teammates. Like every timeout, missed shot I had, like there was no negative anything towards me or any type of way. It was just keep being you. And I think from game 3 or 4 on, played really well. Obviously against, one of the best teams or organizations the last 10 years. They're so successful. They know how to win. And, obviously, Steph at the, head of the snake. It was a great feeling, because it's just kind of like, last 10 years we've seen these guys, in the finals a million times and seen all their success. So to beat them, was a really good feeling.
What did you learn from last year's playoff run? Both the good and the bad. Beating Memphis, beating Golden State, whatever happened in the Denver series. Were close games.
Yeah, I mean,
they were close games.
We got swept, but every game we could have won.
Yeah.
But the bad is just it's long. The season's long. The playoffs is long, and even especially when you get into the playoffs, everything just goes up more. Like physicality goes up more, intensity goes up more, attention to detail goes up more, which is great for me, because I mean that's basically how I play every game. I have to be locked into game plan situations. I'm not blessed enough to kind of just freestyle it. But what I learned most was just kind of that too, was the attention to detail, attention to every single play that matters. And obviously having Bron in your corner, helps. Just because he's, been there a million times, played in all those games, but you can tell as soon as the playoffs rolls around, like him and AD, their attention to everything is it's laser focus.
2 things you said there. Number one, I always say, like, the difference between the regular season and the playoffs is that in the regular season, on a given possession, you might have 50% of the people on the court truly locked in, and 50% of the people on the court given maximum effort and maximum energy. In the playoffs, it's generally closer to like 95%. Where everybody's locked in. So every possession just means a little bit more. Every possession's a little bit harder. And if you're not locked in or you can't do it, you get benched in the playoffs. It's not like the regular season. We're just going to keep trotting out the same lineups. It's like, no, this guy's not playing the series, not his series. Yep. Second thing was, just the toll that the previous series takes on the next series. Mm-hmm. I always talk about 2015, beating the defending champ Spurs in a game 7 where like Kawhi guarded me most of that series. I've got to guard Ginobili, when he's coming off the bench. 7 games, took everything for us to beat them. Then we go play Houston. I've got to guard James Harden now. And I've still got to do what I do running around on offense. And by game 7, I'm just like taxed. And then the last thing was just when you mentioned Bron there, like Tommy and I were in Vegas, and I was honestly blown away. It was my first time watching him in person this year. I was honestly blown away at the energy level, at his conditioning level. And this guy's, obviously played 21 now, but he's played 20 previous regular seasons, plus all of the playoffs, plus the USA basketball stuff. He's been in all these high pressure environments. And yet somehow he's like in Vegas. I'm like, he's the most energetic player. Like it matters more to him than anything. And it's just like the competitive stamina doesn't turn off with him. And the fact that he's in such great shape, like being around him every day, people talk about like, I learned a lot from so and so, from playing for so and so, but just observing him, watching him, what are like your takeaways?
Oh, the main one is obviously just being a pro. First in the gym, the last to leave. You know, his body of work, literally on his body. Not many people can play this long. I mean, honestly, nobody's done it at this high of a level. And he basically lays out the blueprint for you. You just got to pay attention and apply that to yourself. But it's just every day. It's. I ask him. I forgot where we were coming back from. Maybe the Detroit. We had like a 4-game road trip. We were coming back from Detroit, and we were on the plane, and I was like, "What's tomorrow look like for you?" Because I asked this man a million questions anyway. I was just like, "What's tomorrow look like for you?" Because we got back probably 1:32. He was like, I'll get up. I don't know. He didn't even say a time. He was like, I'll do some treatment at 10. And then I'll probably get a massage at 11, eat. And he just kept going on about treatment stuff. And he was like, I'm going to go lay in my, whatever that chamber is he has.
Hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah. And I was just like, so your day is treatment? And he was like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, all right, cool. Like, there's the blueprint. Like, he's a professional and takes care of himself.
Do you feel like you've at least started to figure that, or have figured out that part of it for your own sort of day-to-day in-season existence?
For sure. Where I come from, I never had a basketball trainer. I never had a trainer. I never had anything. Like, I did everything myself. Like, and I didn't know how important recovery was. Like, nobody ever taught me that stuff. So all this stuff was kind of new for me. And like I said, I asked him a million questions. So this isn't the first time I've asked him about, stuff that he does for his body. But yeah, like, we've had conversation about it, and definitely anything that he says that he does, why not try it? Like, I remember in the playoffs, my legs were dead, and I was just like, he was talking about the Normatec and then the stem at the same time. And so I went home, tried it. Legs felt great the next day, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm doing this.
Do you cold tub? Do you cold plunge?
Yeah.
Okay, you do. All right. That's the secret. That's the secret to everything, I think.
I used to, you couldn't have got me in it in college, but now it's...
So all these kids coming up now, and I see it. Like, I coach my 9-year-old, and we have a new player this year, really good player. And his dad played college basketball, and this kid is obsessed. He gets up in the morning, works out at 7. He's got a basketball trainer. And the dad was telling me, we were having a conversation the other day. The dad was telling me, he's like, yeah, New York Gauchos, Riverside Church, these are like legendary AU programs in New York City. He's like, all these kids have trainers now, basketball trainers, personal basketball trainers at 9 and 10 years old.
It's crazy.
And all of them have IG pages.
Oh God.
with all their basketball content to follow. This is a true story.
For sure.
We played a game the other day. And after it was a good game. Other team was good. One kid was really good. After the game, all the parents were like, did you know number 15 is the 64th ranked 9-year-old in the country? And I'm like, come on now.
No, I did not know that.
So we didn't have this growing up.
No.
But for you, getting the NBA and then having like your own player development guy and that you work with and to work on your game, that was like the greatest thing ever.
I didn't have to chase my ball anymore. In high school, I shoot it and go get it. And
you couldn't pay a friend to rebound for you? That's what I did.
I didn't have no money. I was going to ask my mom for some money. When my brother was around, he's 2 years older than me. Before he went off to college, obviously we would go rebound for each other. But after that, I was by myself.
I was with you in Manila for a little bit, and I wanted to get your perspective. We haven't seen it. I want to get your perspective on that experience looking back, and then also you obviously were just matched up with Tyrese in Vegas last week, but just the talent from that team. This is a lot of these guys are the future of the league. Just like what you enjoyed the most about playing with them, what you learned from them, everything like that.
I mean, obviously we didn't, finish the way we wanted to. Winning is the main goal at any. I mean, winning's the main goal in everything. But um, the best thing for me was, just um, you know, learning from them, but also like creating friendships with them. Like when I come into the NBA, I knew one guy in the league, and it was Landry Shamet. That was my roommate my sophomore year at Wichita State. So when I come into the league, like I didn't know anybody, so everything was kind of everybody's always buddy buddy now. Um, so going into that whole situation, that was kind of one of my like, how am I gonna fit in? Because I know all these guys know each other already, and probably have played together or been around each other. But for me, this was my second year in the league at the time, and I didn't know anybody. But being able to create real relationships, with these guys, Mikal and Cam, from the get go were great for me. Obviously, both of them, and Kel's personality, made everything easier for me just because he's so outgoing, so goofy. And we kind of we kind of go about life the same way. So it was great, but I just learned, a little bit of everything from everybody, even the coaches, just kind of the way that they, see the game, they go about the game, the way they do scouts and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Did you feel like an outsider when you got to the NBA?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, I joke all the time. I said this the other night. I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I got lucky and they gave me an opportunity and I ran with it.
What was the can you just sort of explain to, like, from a basketball perspective, the difference between FIBA, not just the rules, but the way the game is played, what officiated, whatever, FIBA versus the NBA?
I mean, it's just a lot more physical. And I think obviously the style of play is way different. Here in the States now, it's you go to a lot of one-on-one stuff. There's not really much offense. Your offense is a lot of the times high pick and roll. But I remember when we played Spain, like our second or third game, down screens, back screens, and you don't guard that in the league. More so when you played, that was real stuff, but you don't get much of that anymore.
Just retired 2 years ago. Easy guy.
Yeah,
Easy guy. Back when you played.
Here we go.
Back when you played.
Y'all know what I mean.
No, I made this comment during the. I think it was maybe after the first loss, or maybe it was right after the medal round. But I made the comment. I think the adjustment for us, like meaning, Americans that didn't grow up playing in Europe or Africa or Asia, where Australia, whatever, that aren't used to playing FIBA basketball, is that there are continuous actions that just flow into the next action. And there's certainly some offenses that function like that in the NBA
For sure.
night to night, but there's less than a handful.
Yeah.
Less than a handful.
No doubt.
So your habits, you're not just accustomed to playing and defending that way. And on the other end, I made the comment, like, our go-to at times was just like, let's run a high pick and roll with Jalen, or let's run a high pick and roll with Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
We didn't get the continuous, second action, third action, fourth action. I mean, Germany was running some shit, man.
Yeah.
They were running some shit.
For real. And I mean, I remember after the Spain game, which we ended up winning, I looked at one of their players and was like, yo, y'all play the most beautiful basketball. Like, y'all might not score, as much or make as much shots, whatever, but like y'all's actions, the way like it's in sync, pin downs, the elevator screens, like if someone is ball watching for half a second, you're back cutting, like, and everybody knows exactly, where to go when all this stuff is happening. So I personally really enjoy it. Like, it's beautiful basketball.
Do you think that, like, there could ever be buy-in from NBA players to play more? I think more like that. I wouldn't, because like my thing with the NBA is like, you literally have, on any given team, you have one of the 30 best basketball players in the world. why would the ball not be in his hands as much as possible, right? And 2, with the NBA rules, 3-second, all that stuff, right? It makes sense. But sometimes I think maybe there's an inefficiency in the marketplace where if a team just started running shit like that all the time, it'd be hard to guard.
It would be. I mean,
But in some ways, I'm like, maybe it would just be wasted energy because you could just run a high pick and roll with Tyrese Halliburton.
That's a fact. That is a fact. I mean, I kind of just think, I mean, you go to Golden State, and obviously
I'll put Sacramento in there right now too.
For sure,
Yeah.
100. Yeah, they move really well. But you go to those teams and they're top, probably top 5 in the league in offense. I don't know about Golden State as of this moment.
They were for
sure, but
6 or
you
7
see
years,
it.
yeah.
But I think you can definitely trickle that stuff in, and obviously you're not going to go away from high ball screens with your best player, as you shouldn't. But if you could do actions around that, even during that, then I think it becomes even harder to guard.
Do you think some of the issue is just the continuity of players staying long enough?
That's interesting. Potentially.
I could see that.
Because think about Germany, like we were talking about this before. It's like those guys, Dennis and they've played together since they were 13. So they know this. And it's like NBA teams, it's like people are getting paid, they're getting traded,
You hardly ever have the same team. Yeah, I can see that.
I do think like you can teach concepts. So I'll give you an example, like with Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sabonis is the hub. You can run your initial action, but they're always going to get to a second action because the concept is we can always just go to a DHO with Sabonis, right? That's going to create some level of movement. That's going to bring a second defender in. I think the buy-in would be tough, and part of the reason is like it's actually hard to play offense that way for 48 minutes in an NBA game. It's just hard.
I can see that.
Did you realize how good Ant was before playing with him there?
I mean, I knew. I mean, just because basically our whole defensive scheme was when we played them to stop him. I think he just was talking about it on some. They asked him who's one person that he wants to cook, and he was like LeBron, but they never let it happen because they're always doubling. Yeah, I don't know if I knew he was that good. The Germany game in Abu Dhabi, when he just took over in the second half, I remember he made a baseline fade, like double pump, and I was on the right wing, and I don't know what everybody else was thinking at the time, but it was a close game, and I was just like, everything went slow motion again, and I was just like, that might be one of the best shots I've ever seen in person. Like the degree of difficulty, time and score, all that for him to, have confidence in himself to shoot that and make that. That was it was really impressive.
Vegas last week. Can you you were sick as a dog. This got out a little bit. Can you walk us through your day leading up into that game, and then how you felt afterwards?
Yeah. I can't remember the days exactly, but say we played on a Tuesday, Thursday. I think it was Thursday, Saturday.
Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah. So we played Thursday, felt great. We got a good win. Get some good sleep. And I had like a 8:00 tee time at the Win. And go out, play. We had film at like 1 maybe. So I got 14 holes in, went straight to film. Did film, went to media. When I was at media, I kind of got a little headache. My nose was running a little bit, but I didn't feel bad. Went to my room afterwards and was like, all right, I'm going to take like an hour nap. I'm going to get up, go get a massage. I took the hour nap, woke up, and felt like my life was coming to an end. Like I was burning up at the time. I was under the covers. I was burning up, sweating, head hurt, couldn't breathe out of my nose, body, every time I moved, I felt every muscle, every joint, everything. I was just like, fuck. So I didn't want to say anything to anybody for a while. I was like, oh, maybe this will pass, knowing it wouldn't. And then text my trainer and was just like, look, these are my symptoms, blah, blah, blah. So he brings he come up. We had a FaceTime with our doc because he wasn't there at the time, and he was just like, "All right, we're gonna give you some medicine, and we'll see how you feel tomorrow." So I took the medicine, slept from probably 7 to didn't go to the team meeting that morning. Probably left the hotel like 2. I was in the bed from 7 to 2, feeling like death was around the corner. But there was one point I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to play. And for me not to play is tough. I don't like to sit out games. I feel like I'm letting my team down, and things like that. But finally, got up, got a shower, and got out the door. And the whole time before the game, I'm like, God, I can't. Catching the ball hurt. Everything hurt. And when got some activation, was moving slow, felt slow. And then the game happened and I played well.
You know how I know that Austin is a sicko? I'm going to tell you how I know. Because he went and played 14 holes of golf.
It was a team meeting.
Not 18.
It was a team meeting.
Like, I think I'm obsessed, but I'm like, bro, I mean, I might play 9, but if I can't finish the round, I'm not going to play 10 and 11, 12, 13, 14. You did a video with Garrett from Good where you played 3 holes before practice.
we got 5 in. We got 5.
Okay.
We got 5. We had practice that day.
You're a true sicko. You're a true sicko in all aspects. Before we let you leave, I don't know the answer to this. You probably talked about this publicly, but the GIF, the video of LeBron and you, where he says something in your ear, and you have just the most incredible reaction. What did he say to you?
So we were in Brooklyn, and the game was over. We were up 25, and coach called a timeout and drew up a play, and you know how it is. You're up 25. Some people might not be listening. Some were staring somewhere else, and especially that year, it was my rookie year. Like I said, I asked a million questions, so I knew exactly what I was doing. So he draws up the play, and as I'm walking out, I'm like, Frank, I wasn't doing anything. I was standing on the left wing, not moving. And I just had to make sure. And so I'm walking on the court, and me being me, I asked Bron again. I was like, I ain't doing shit, am I? Like, I'm just chilling. He was like, no, you. I think he got mine and Russ's spot backwards.
Okay.
So he thought where I was supposed to be, where Russ was supposed to be. And he was like, no, you're coming over the top and then setting a back screen. And I'm just looking at him like, I don't think so. But I was just like, oh, God. And then literally when I did it, I was like, that's going to be. I go get my phone after the game, and my phone was fully charged. And I was looking, it was on like 5%. It was just blowing up. I was like, oh, no.
That's amazing. Austin, appreciate the time.
For sure.
Can't wait for our first golf trip. I think it's during training camp week, but I may have a spot for you for my 40th birthday trip to Ireland. Ooh. So I'll keep the spot. Ooh. I'll confirm the
training
dates.
Camp. We might have to push that back.
Time for one last question. The Roback question. Our listeners can get 20% off on roback.com, RHOBACK.com with code OLDMAN. Austin, very simple question. What is your number one golf course you haven't yet played on your bucket list?
Definitely Augusta. Obvious reasons. I watch literally every live feed, any live stream of that tournament. I see it all. I think I could go 1 to 18 in my head right now. Yeah, it's pure.
I birdied 7 and 9.
Yeah, that's nice. What'd you shoot?
I won't talk about it.